I heard a quote once and it went something like this: there is nothing permanent except change. And I think that's true, whether it's life or business or whatever it is, especially in the world of digital media and video. So I wanted to share my top 10 predictions for this year in digital media and video. Now, these are in no particular order, and these are all my opinions, which, by the way, I'm Kevin Kolbe, and I'm so glad you're here. So let's jump in with number one. Twitch will shut down. Now, if you're not familiar with Twitch, that could be part of it. But Twitch is a gaming platform that Amazon Prime has. And just recently, the CEO came out and admitted, to not a lot of people's surprise, that they were not making any money. They've also run afoul of their creators. And I don't know the whole story here, but where they either weren't paying or they were restricting. I think some of it was they wouldn't allow them to stream other places. You know, like on YouTube, you can stream as many places as you want at the same time, or just on YouTube. So I think Twitch is in trouble. And, you know, Amazon has recently announced that they're going to add ads to their shows, limited ads and movies, unless you rent them, and even for Prime members. So I could see them absolutely shutting down Twitch. Now, an opportunity there would be for YouTube and YouTube gaming, which they're getting a little bit more into. But I believe that this year we will see the end of Twitch. The decline of TikTok is here. Here's what I mean by this. And full disclosure, I don't like TikTok. I'm not a fan of TikTok. I used to try TikTok. In fact, at one point, I think I had 3 different accounts. I'd have an account and try it and get off, and have an account and try and get off. I don't like it. I don't like a lot of what's behind it. I know there's a lot of you that probably use it. I don't think, as a solo content creator, you need it at all. But here's why I really think this is the year that we're going to see a major decline in TikTok. So, you know, TikTok was built on vertical video. I mean, heck, it's no surprise. That's one of the reasons YouTube got into shorts, right? Is because they felt the heat from TikTok. Well, TikTok has recently announced that they're going to be doing long form videos. I forgot what they're going to allow you to get to. And I'm not even sure if it's going to be like horizontal, like landscape or not. But years ago, there was a book called Focus. And even though it's dated, the message behind it is still relevant. And it's when businesses lose focus, they lose. And, you know, you can have a business or a brand built on something and you start branching out and it just doesn't work. I think when TikTok starts doing this, they're going to abandon what probably made them, and that's vertical video, short form video, short vertical video. And I think this is where they will lose focus and eventually lose. Sorry, I had something in my throat. I'm not getting choked up about TikTok, but that's what I think about TikTok. Video podcasting will continue to grow. Now, for all practical purposes, this is a video podcast because even though I'm doing it as video, I'm also going to take the audio and put it on my podcast, which, by the way, if you want to check out, there's a link to that down in the description. It's called Dude, Just Create. But I think this is going to grow and grow and grow. And here's why. Long form is not dead by any form. And when you can add in video, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't want to make it sound like it's just so crazy easy. But if you're going to record audio, why not just add video to it? And it's not that hard. You can use your phone. I mean, I'm using my camera mounted to my desk. You can use a webcam. But I think as more and more people look to expound and share their experience, we're going to see video podcasting grow this year, I think, more than it's ever grown before, which then is more opportunities for people to get into content creation if they haven't. In fact, I would even say if you're new to creating content, doing a video podcast, starting with a video podcast may be the best way to start and start getting, you know, more comfortable with creating content. YouTube podcasts will surpass Spotify and Apple. Now, why do I say this? Well, YouTube has already been a place to be listening for podcasts for quite a while, believe it or not. But the reason I think YouTube will really surpass those is because of video and because recently Google has shut down Google Podcasts. So what that means is that everything from Google Podcasts got moved to YouTube Music. So If you have a podcast and you have a YouTube channel, you can immediately create a podcast. Like this video podcast is also going to be a podcast on my YouTube channel, which would then play as a podcast on YouTube Music. Now, I'm also going to share it on the other places. I use Anchor. Well, it used to be Anchor, Spotify by Anchor now. So it will get distributed to Spotify and to Apple. But the thing that sets this apart is because YouTube has video, and it's the dominant go-to video platform. So when you add that in there, that's why I think it will just continue to crush the other ones. Now, you could say, well, wait a minute, doesn't Spotify have video? And they do. And if you do a video podcast, I would recommend that you continue to upload it as video to Spotify. Apple doesn't have that. So when you start adding in that, it kind of goes with the last prediction. I think YouTube has really set itself up to become the dominant podcast player and host, if you will. AI will hit a peak. I don't think AI is going away. I enjoy using AI. I do think as creators we can get too reliant on it. I've found myself where it's just easier. I'll go to AI and I'll just, hey, come up with some ideas and come up with that. And I think there's a balance to that. You have to decide what yours is. I have to decide what mine is. But I think that there's a lot of the population that could care less about AI. We assume that just because we talk about it, we do a video about it, everybody knows about it. And that's not a good assumption. But I think what we'll see is that I think there's going to be a tipping point, and I think it's going to be this year where AI is just going to kind of peak. There's going to be all these apps. So many of them are going to do the same thing. I get pitched a lot of apps to try, and I'll look at them and they're like, yeah, but this one does that, and this one does that. They kind of all do the same thing. Now, again, I don't think AI is going away, but I do think we're going to see a point where AI just kind of flatlines maybe for a while, and it's just not the hot topic of the thing. I do think it's going to last longer than NFTs and crypto and all the other stuff, but I just feel like we're at a point where AI is going to simmer out for a while, settle down for a while, and just not be the big thing. We're going to see more media consolidation. And I think this will be media consolidation between cable companies, possibly a network or two, TV network, streaming services, and maybe even some apps and things like that. And the reason is because we can only consume so much. My family and I, we cut the cord years ago. Years ago, I remember we told the kids, you'd have thought we'd have said, hey, by the way, Disneyland just went out of business and you can't go there anymore. It was that shocking. Now it's like that. We have a few apps we go to. That's what we watch TV off of. We have an antenna. That's how we watch our sports. But I think there's a point where you can only do so much, and these businesses are businesses. And when you can get the same show on 5 or 6 different places, I think we're going to see a point where we're going to see more consolidation. Now, the downside, well, there's a couple of downsides to that. One is people can lose their jobs. But then 2 is that it hurts the consumers, because sometimes with consolidation, sometimes it's good, but sometimes with consolidation, especially media, prices can go up. I know there are shows that we used to watch that now they're behind a paywall. NFL's even playing with that with some of their games, which I can't stand, but it's a business. So I think this year we're going to see more media consolidation, which means by the end of the year, there's going to be some media companies that just cease to exist. The rise of solo content creators. And I'm emphasizing solo for a reason. I think we're at a point where you're going to see more and more people decide they want to start creating content. Could be for a job situation. Maybe their job is eliminated. Maybe they just can't hack it anymore. Maybe they're working themselves to death. I don't know if you're like that or not. By the way, I'm never going to give advice for anybody to quit their job to start being a content creator. But there is a point, though, where everybody has to decide, is this a healthy lifestyle? But I think we're going to see a rise in more people being solo content creators, because I think there's going to be more companies that start taking it back in-house with smaller teams. And I also think there's a point where people start outsourcing too much. I'm not against outsourcing at all. I think there's a time and a place to outsource. But I think you're going to see more folks that decide, you know what, I want to crack at this, and I want to learn these skills I keep hearing people talk about, whether it's writing like a blog, or editing, or or filming your videos or something like that. So we know the creator economy continues to grow. I think this is the year we're going to see more people become solo content creators, which could be a lot of opportunities for folks that work virtually and want to help those, maybe even me, grow. Subscription and membership services will decline. I don't know about you, but I've kind of hit my limit of tipping. And sometimes this is what it feels like to me. Anywhere I go, do I want to leave a tip? Do I want to leave a tip? Do I want to? And no, I don't. I don't say that just because I'm cheap, but I feel like we've become over tipped, or at least the desire for us to leave a tip. I think the same thing with subscriptions and membership services. I mentioned earlier about cutting the cord, and I hear and read articles where people are online and they're whining about, well, I'm paying more now for my subscription services than when I had cable. Well, that's your fault, dude. Cancel them. Maybe you don't need 12 subscriptions. Maybe you need one or two. Maybe you don't need any. And I think the same thing with memberships. It's like, how many memberships can I be in? And it's one of the things. It's one of the things. Just full disclosure. I have a Buy Me a Coffee site. I have a Ko-fi. I think this is called Ko-fi site. I even turned on YouTube memberships a couple of times, and I just turned it off because I just felt like I couldn't give back enough to warrant, you basically giving me money every month if you wanted to. Now, I think there's plenty of room for collaborations. I think there's plenty of room to supporting creators. I mean, there's super thanks, and I've gotten them before, it's so appreciated. If you've ever left one, I appreciate that. But I think we're going to hit a point where people are just done with it. Whether we're in a recession or not, they're going to be looking at, how much money do I want to continue to pay out just to get an emoji or something like that. Now, if you have a successful membership group, good for you. But I don't know that this is the year to try and start one, as opposed to other types of ways of building a community. So we'll see on that one. Facebook will almost abandon video. So here's what I mean. I love Facebook. I mean, my core platform for creating content is and will remain YouTube. It's to me the best to reach people. It's the best to teach on. It's the best to learn from. It's the best to connect with. I love YouTube. It's not perfect, but I love YouTube. But Facebook, I don't know what Zuck is doing. Zuck, I can call him that. I don't know what Zuck is doing. It seems like anything new and shiny he jumps on. And if he can't create it, he just or if he can't be the first at it, he just buys it and then rips off somebody else. I mean, you can look at all the things that the properties have done that somebody else started and he did it before. I should have probably said Threads in here as well. I mean, Threads is just kind of Twitter light, I guess. But I really think that they have struggled since day one in trying to make video dominant on there. Part of it is there's no search mechanism. You can't go on Facebook and really search videos like you can on YouTube. In fact, if you can go to Google and you search something and it has a video component, it's always going to be YouTube. So, they used to have Facebook Watch. Is it even a thing anymore? And I think then when you start diminishing that, if you share a YouTube video on there, it doesn't necessarily get shared out as well. Not saying don't. But, they jumped into Reels. Oh, we're going to do Reels now. And quite honestly, I know, speaking for me, that's not why I'm on Facebook. I think they've really lost their way. Facebook was built on that connection thing. Somebody just shared a graph the other day I saw, and still, as of today, the number one type of content that gets the most engagement on there is text. Think about that. Now, maybe this is a side prediction. I think if they could figure out a better way in the feed, I could see it actually doing better than Twitter and X, just because, I think it's easier to hop on there and, throw out an update or something like that. But I really, really believe if Zuck is smart. Not that he's asked me. I think this will be when we see video really, really take a back seat even further. Maybe it's not even in the car anymore on Facebook. YouTube will dominate TV streaming and viewing. I don't know about you, but one of the ways I love to consume YouTube is on my TV. Now we've got, I don't know what it is, like a 55-inch Roku TV. And one of the apps we have on there is YouTube. And I prefer watching things on the big screen. Probably my second place to watch it is my iPad, just because a lot of times I may be, sitting around with a cup of coffee, I've got my iPad with me. But YouTube, I think, will dominate TV viewing. If you have a YouTube channel and you're active, you can go into your analytics and you can actually see TV viewing on there. And I know everybody talks mobile, but they didn't buy NFL for a reason. Well, they didn't buy it. They didn't pay all that money for the rights to have NFL just to sit there and hope, you might watch it on a laptop. I think more and more YouTube is going to be that, because they've got YouTube TV. Like I have YouTube Prime, or YouTube Premium, YouTube Prime. I have YouTube Premium. One of the reasons I do that is to skip the commercials. There's a lot of other perks like YouTube Music, but when you get into that, watching it on the television, and then they've got movies and TV shows, I don't think it's easy to find those. At least it's not for me. But I think by the time you see, with the football ticket, what do they call it, the NFL Sunday ticket, that's coming back. I think more and more we're going to see that. And then that plays into some of these others, like long form videos, like video podcasts. I mean, what a great place to watch it on your television, whatever size you have. But I'm telling you, I think this is the time that YouTube will dominate streaming on our TVs. So there you go, my predictions for this year in digital media and video. What do you think? Do you agree with them? Do you think they're like, what in the world are you talking about? Or are there some predictions that I didn't even bring up that you want to mention down in the comments? Let me know. And by the way, whether you were watching this on YouTube or listening to it as a podcast, I really, really appreciate you being there. Remember to keep creating, because the world needs you. I'll see you next time.